Okay, so I can see in your resume you have written you have experience on SonarQube, JUnit, Mockito, Jacoco, right?
Yeah, I have worked on it.
Okay, so what is this SonarQube and when we use it?
Yes, SonarQube is mainly used in the to check the quality of the code. So basically, it helps developers and other teams to ensure their code base is kind of clean and it can be easily maintainable, and it should have very less issues. So for that purpose, we use SonarQube. So basically, it's open source platform, and here we can continuously check. So basically, it's kind of it can find out those codes which are basically correct, but it is difficult to maintain in long run. And also it tracks the code coverage by unit testing and showing what percentage of the code is being tested, and identifying untested codes. Also, if any duplicate codes are there, or which can be reused, so it will suggest for them as well. And it also scans the code for any kind of security issues, such as, let's say, any SQL injection or cross-siting scripting and other common issues are there. So those also can be checked. So yeah, so basically those things we can visualize in the dashboard which it provides, and we can improve the quality of the code ultimately. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Okay, how about JUnit, Mockito and all?
Yeah, JUnit is like it is used for writing and running the test cases in Java. So it's basically a framework. So basically for doing the unit testing, we use it. So all the individual codes or like unit methods and all can be tested independently to see whether all, I mean, inside the code or method is working fine. And Mockito is basically we use for the mocking of the objects in unit testing. So we can uh, like whenever suppose any dependency is there, let's say from a database, like we are fetching the data, so we can mock that data fetch part, and we can like kind of assume that okay, the data would be coming, because testing, I mean, every time hitting the database, whenever we are doing the testing, so that is not recommended. So instead we just mock it. So whatever the expected result is there, we just I mean, in the then we can write that expected result, and further we can proceed. Also, let's say suppose we have any external services are there, which, or external APIs are there, which we are using, which is getting data from somewhere. So that also we can mock, and we can write down the expected result, and we can proceed.
Okay, so Mockito and JUnit, can we use them together?
Yeah, we can use them together. Yes. So whenever we have to test some unit methods and all, so we can use JUnit for that, and any services or any database things we want to mock it, we can mock. So yes, we can use it.
Okay, and how about using JUnit alone or Mockito? Can we use it alone?
Uh, JUnit, yes, we can use if there is no service call, or there is no database call or something like that. Then in that case, we can use JUnit alone. But only Mockito, I don't think we can use it because we, I mean, at some point of time we need JUnit. We can use actually, but that will be like not, that may not be set the complete testing of the whatever code we have written. So we are just mocking the services, but not doing the testing of the methods and all which has been written. So that's what I think. So yeah.
Okay, fine. Okay, so what are the annotations you have used in Mockito and JUnit?
Annotations at the rate of test. Then we have at the rate of before, at the rate of after, and then we have at the rate of ignore. Yeah, so those annotations are there. Yeah, these are the annotations I'm able to recall right now.
Okay, okay. Do you know the spy annotation?
Yeah, a spy annotation basically is the part of Mockito, and it is used to create a partial mock of the real object. So it does not create the, I mean, a complete mocking of the object. So basically partial mock means that we can mock some method of the real object while letting other methods part of the method to execute the real logic. So basically this is useful whenever we want to test a class, but still we want its actual behavior to have the same for the whole method. So for example, let's say we have any test, let's say we have any user service test, and that there we want to add a spy on the, we have, let's say, user repository class. Okay, so we can put at that of a spy on top of that, like user repository, and then uh, whenever we are testing that, like let's say any object, any user object is getting saved. Okay, so we can say in when, so user repository dot save, and then any of that user dot class, then return user. So what happens in this case, like uh, whenever we use when of that user repository dot save, so save method of the user repository, so we, whenever we call save, so during the test it will return the user object we defined, even though the save is actually the part of the real object. Okay, so here the save part which we are doing, that is kind of a spying thing is happening here, and then return of user, that is behaving like the actual mock how we use. So yeah, so that's how the, I mean, that's what the scenario we have when we can use it.
Okay, okay. Have you worked on JUnit 5?
J 5, yeah, I have worked on that.
Okay, so what are the differences you see between JUnit 4 and JUnit 5?
Yeah, so I have worked on JUnit 5. So uh, JUnit 4 basically it uses annotations like at the rate of test, before, after, then after class. Okay, now JUnit 5 has, in JUnit 5 it has been introduced like before each, after each, after all. So all that has come in JUnit 5.
Okay, so what is this before and after annotation?
Yeah, the before is executed before each test method. So it is used to set up the test data to initialize the objects basically. So yeah, so that we can see mostly in all the classes, like wherever we are trying to initialize it. And after is like the method, like it, this runs after each test method. Okay, so whatever we have written with after, so it will be running after each test method. So basically, I mean, we use it to clean up the resources, or if we want to reset the some states, so we can use that.
Okay, okay. Okay, so what is the difference between verify and when?
Okay. Yeah, so verify is used to check if a method on a mock was called with any specific arguments. So it is used after the action has been performed to check interactions with the mock. Okay, so that is when verify we use, and when we use to stub or specify the behavior of the mock. So, so basically it defines what should happen when a mock method is called. Okay, so we can write when, and then whatever the object, then return what we want. So that is what we have for when. Yeah.
Mockito we use at the rate of mock annotation, right? So is there any way if we don't want to use at mock annotation, so programmatically can we use Mockito at the rate of mock?
We don't want to use added of mock. Yeah, so yeah, I think Mockito dot mock we have the static method, and that we can use programmatically to create a mock object. So whenever we want to mock objects without using annotations, so at that time we can use it.
Okay, okay. You have experience on writing the REST APIs, right? So what are the best practices you follow to write the code?
Yeah, for that, first of all, we can plan like let's say uh, any user related data we are going to fetch. Like we can have the proper names of that, like forward slash users, not like get users or something like that. So we can just have the method type as get, and just forward slash users you can give, and we are good with that. Okay, so if similarly if we have the post user, we have the delete user, so we don't have to actually write the whole method name of get user. Instead, we can just say user, but this name of the, or I mean, the type of HTTP method we are using, that is self-explanatory. So that is one thing, and then we can write the clear response format also, right? The response entity we can write it clearly, and proper HTTP methods we can use while the return, like if it is 20201, if it is created. Okay, so in case of unauthorized access we can give like 401, or so those kind of response codes we can use. And then proper authentication should be there for any kind of URL which we are preparing. So JWT and all we can use for that. And uh, then we can also mention the version of the API. Okay, so like get, then API v1 normally we give for the first version of the API. So those kind of things we can give.
Okay. Hmm. Okay, so let's say you have thousands of users in your database and you have the get users method. Okay, so how do you send the users detail?
We have get users. Yeah, so we will just write the, I mean, get users method. So as I said, get, and then users method will be there. So we can get the users, and we can, I mean, first of all we will have the controller, then we will have the service layer, and then we will have the repository layer. So in repository layer we will be actually calling the users, and we can further transfer it back to the controller.
No, but do you fetch all of the users?
No. We can use pagination actually. So usually we do not send all of the users at once because that is not the standard practice. So in rare cases, if the requirement is, we can do in that case, but it should be business justified. But normally we do it through the pagination. So like from where the so normally pagination accepts two more things, like what is the page number and what is the size. So if it is first time, then page number 1 with size of 10 means 10 items from the very first list will be I mean uh, returned to the calling method. So yeah.
Okay, so suppose we have any method in the controller and one method is returning response entity and another method is not using response entity. So what is the difference between these two?
Yeah, response entity usually we use. So there are various advantages of it. Like we can write the status code. I mean, it can be fully customizable thing. So we can write the complete uh, error or success message, whatever it is. And in headers, we can customize the response headers as well. And uh, in the response body we can include any object in the response whatever we want. So that's what is the response entity. And if we are not using response entity, so in that case like we are not returning any kind of success or failure, right? So so in all the cases it will return 200. Okay. So internally Spring Boot does that. And uh, I mean sometimes it is not desirable, right? We might have any error or something, but still like we may not able to find that. And then in headers, like it returns default headers basically, so it is difficult to modify them. And then in the responses, so Spring automatically serializes objects like uh, pushes to JSON or XML, whatever it is response type we have given. So I mean those things will be kind of default. So yeah, so that's what the difference is.
Okay, so what is 403 status code?
Yeah, 403 is forbidden status code. And when the server understands the request, suppose so whenever we are trying to hit the server and server refuses to authorize it, so at that time this 403 status code comes.
Okay, fine. Okay, so let's say you have to upload the file. Okay, so how do you write the code? Just tell me the controller code.
Yeah, in controller basically we have to upload it as a multi-part file. So we can have one method into the controller. And let's say upload file method is there, and there in request param we can give file, and then in the parameter we can give a multi-part file. So basically we can get the name of the file dot get file name. So yeah, that is how we can receive the file in controller.
Okay, okay. Okay, so wrapper classes in Java are mutable or immutable. You know wrapper classes, right?
Yeah, I know them. Like we have integer, double, character, boolean, all that. So instead of int, we can use integer. So as a wrapper classes, so like that.
Yes. So why they are immutable?
Yeah, they are immutable because uh, the immutability guarantees the thread safety, and multiple threads can access an immutable object without worrying about it being modified by other thread and all. Since wrapper classes are frequently used in multi-threaded environments. Immutability helps avoid synchronization issue, and also like whenever any object is immutable, so basically immutability ensures that the object's hash code remains same or consistent throughout its lifetime. So this is very much useful whenever we have the collections like hash map or hash set and all. So yeah, so these are the reasons why we have wrapper classes as immutable.
Okay, so in Java, constructors can they return the value?
Constructors. Constructors, no. Normally, no.
Normally, no means is there any scenario when it can return the value?
No, no. Java cannot return the value. Uh, so they are basically used to initialize the objects. So they are normally used to initialization whenever the object creation is happening. So yeah, so it does not return the value.
Okay, okay, okay. So let's say there is a code and you were creating object out of a class and you have a constructor, default constructor over there. Okay, or let's say the name of the class is there, so one constructor is there. Okay, and we have two scenarios. In that constructor, let's say in scenario 1, we have a super method written on the top inside that constructor. And we have another scenario whenever we don't have this super method. Okay, so what difference it will make?
Yeah, if we use a super in the constructor, so I think it does not make any difference actually. So even if we don't write super also, still by default, hiddenly it is like super is already written by the compiler. So I mean, it will always call the parents class constructor. I mean, it has to. So if super is not there, still it will call the parent class constructor if there is any. Uh, so yeah, so both will behave the same.
So tell me one thing, can a method be both synchronized and static?
Synchronized and static, yeah, I think it can be. So whenever we have synchronized, so it synchronized basically means that only one thread at a time can access the method. And static means that method belongs to the class rather than the instance of the class. Okay, so yeah, both together is possible. So yeah, they can be used together.
Okay, okay. Okay, so you have experience on Java 8, right?
Yeah, yeah, I have.
Okay, so Java 8 streams are mutable or immutable?
Uh, they are immutable.
Okay, and why so?
Yeah, basically whenever stream is created from the list or something, so its underlying data we cannot be. I mean, we cannot modify it, so we cannot change the elements of the stream directly after the stream has been created. That basically avoids the uh, thread safety issues in concurrent environments. Yeah, so uh, that is how that is why stream is immutable.
So how new date time in Java 8 is different than the older one? Okay, can you tell me first, like, in which package it has been added?
Yeah, so in java.time package it has been added. So we have local date, local time, some zoned date. So all these are there.
Okay, so how it is different from the older date time?
Yeah, it is different. All classes in Java time package is immutable and thread safe, and in older one those were mutable. So methods like set time, set date. So we could have modified the object state, but now objects like local date, local time, and all cannot be changed once they are created. So any transformation like adding days, hours, so that will create a new object rather than the modifying the original object. But this was not the case earlier. So now the API designing is much more better, and thread safety has been introduced. So yeah, so these are the advantages are there.
Okay, so what is type inference? Any idea?
Type inference, yeah. So uh, basically that is something in older version of Java we used to, like, let's say any list we are defining. So we write like list equal to new array list of I mean whatever the data type is there. Okay, it might be string or anything. So we used to write this whole thing earlier, but later on the diamond operator is there, right? So it was allowed that we can in the right hand side, if left in the left hand side, if we have already declared the data type list of string is there, then in right hand side there is no need to explicitly write that data type. So it will automatically it will take that it will be string, so that the compiler infers that the array list of only with the empty diamond arrows should be of type array list of string based on the left hand side's type declaration. So that's what is the type inference.
Okay, how about with respect to Java 10?
With respect to Java 10,
Yes, any where keyword has been introduced?
yeah, okay, so we can say, let's say we just say var message equal to some string. Then if we are trying to print it, then uh, we can print it as a string easily, so it won't throw any error because the compiler infers that as a string, whatever we write var message equal to whatever.
Hmm. Okay, okay. Okay, do you know object cloning in Java?
Yeah, object cloning is the process of creating an exact copy of an object. So Java basically provides the clonable interface for this purpose. So to create a clone of an object, a class need to be implemented the clonable interface and override the clone method. So we can do basically two types of cloning. We can do either shallow copy or we can do deep copy. So shallow copy basically only duplicates the reference of the object's fields. So if the object contains reference of another object, so in that case those references are copied, not the object themselves. But whenever we are going to deep copy, so deep copy creates new instance of the object referred to by the original object. Okay, so basically whatever the inside object is there, so that also will be copied, I mean as it is, to the new object. Yeah, so that's the difference.
Okay, what is default keyword in Java interface?
Yeah, in Java 8 default keyword has been introduced. So uh, it basically allows us to provide the default implementation for the method in interface. So that basically helps to avoid breaking existing implementation when we are adding the new method to an interface. So yeah, so that's what is the default.
Okay. Okay, what is the difference between a string builder and a string buffer?
Yeah, string builder and buffer both are basically mutable. So string is immutable, but these two are mutable. So the basically the main difference is that string builder is not synchronized and string buffer is synchronized. So string builder is not synchronized, so it is not thread safe. Okay. So basically it is not thread safe means it will be much faster. So basically it is used in a single threaded environment, but whenever we have a multi-threading environment, we can go for string buffer. So yeah, so this is the difference between these two.
Okay, so how does volatile keyword guarantees visibility in multithreading?
uh, Yeah, so the volatile keyword in Java ensures that the changes to a variable are immediately visible to all threads. So when a variable is declared as volatile, then the JVM ensures that the read and write operation on that variable are not cached locally, but threads uh, not cached locally by threads, but are always fetched from the main memory. So basically, all threads see the most recent values of the volatile variable. Yeah.
Okay, in Spring Boot, what are the common exceptions you have faced?
Yeah. So most common exception I have faced is null pointer.
Okay, apart from null pointer, specific to Spring Boot.
Specific to Spring Boot, constant violation exception. So whenever uh, method parameters annotated with the validation constants at the rate of min or not blank, so those annotations are there at the method level. So if it is blank is coming, so at that point of time we face that. And then no such bin definition exception. So whenever Spring is not able to find some any specific bin, so in that case we see this error. So and I think access denied exception also comes, like whenever user is trying to access the any secure endpoint, so without roles and permission has been assigned to that specific user, so at that point of time we face this exception. So yeah, so these are the exceptions usually we face.
Okay, okay. Okay, so you must have used component scan and configuration annotations, right?
Yeah, yeah, I have worked on that. So component scan is basically,
Okay, that is fine. Now tell me one thing, is it possible to use component scan and this configuration annotation without Spring Boot? So we are not using Spring Boot and we want to use this annotations. Possible?
without Spring Boot, yeah, we can use that because that is the part of Spring, core Spring basically. So that is not very specific to the Spring Boot application. So yeah, we can use them.
Okay, okay, fine. So now tell me their uses.
Yeah, so add configuration basically that we can use along with the class on top of the class, and that is used to mark a class as a source of any specific bin definition. For example, it can be like some XML configuration file or something. So we use that on top of the class. An add component class scan is basically that tells Spring where to search for the various different types of annotations like component, service, repository, and all that. So in which package it has to go and search for that. So we can give the package name uh, within that component scan annotation. So yeah, so that's the difference between these two.
Okay, so what is profiling in Spring Boot?
Yeah, profiling in Spring Boot we use for the different environments. Like suppose we have different environments like dev, test, production, QA, and all. So basically, it allows us to define different beans or configuration properties for different environment and switch between them whenever we want. Yeah, so at that point of time we can use it.
Okay, okay. So it code wise how you declare that and how you use that.
Yeah, so in code, like first of all, we can use at the rate of profile annotation, so that we can use on top of any class, and there we can give the name of the profile, maybe dev or QA or whatever it is. So suppose any DB need to be set up, then we can do like that. And after that, in application or properties or YAML file, we can give like profile active equal to whatever the, let's say, dev we want to active for now, so we can give equal to dev. Okay, so profile active equal to dev. Okay, and then the common ones which is common to all the environments that we keep under the properties file, and for other ones which is not common to all, or anything, any configuration which is related to dev or production or test environment, so we can create the specific properties file. So like application.dev.properties. Okay, so there we can keep those configurations which are specific to the dev environment, so like that we can use it.
Okay, so have you worked on actuator?
So yeah, Spring Boot actuator is basically the set of production ready features that help basically to monitor and manage the application. So it gives various endpoints. So like it has various REST URLs like actuator health, info, matrix, then mapping, environment, beans, and all. So all those are there. So we can hit these URLs and get the information on the fly whenever we want. So yeah, so that's what the use of actuator. So basically, in case of Maven, we can go and configure that like in the dependency to download the corresponding files, and in application properties we can mention the like web exposure. We can mention like health, matrix, whatever we want. So we can mention that. So yeah, so that's how we can use it.
Okay, okay. So usually actuator runs on which port?
It will run on 8080.
Okay, suppose we want to change the port only for actuator. Can we do that?
Uh, yeah, we can do that. Actually, some property file is there, like management server or something like that. So that we can give the port and equal to whatever the port number we will give, it will run on that port.
Okay, so in production environment, do you expose all the endpoints of actuator?
In production, no, we don't expose all of them, but some of them are permission based, and we should not expose all because uh, few might have the sensitive data. For example, if we have environment beans, right, or mappings, so that may have the DB URLs, password, and all. Okay, and also internal structure of the application we can easily know whenever we are using beans and all. So we should not do it usually until unless it is really required and the requirement is there and shared by the client. So yeah.
Okay, okay.